Now, when it comes to project management, there are a number of tools available for them. There are a lot of nice tools now that are just available online. Microsoft Project is one that has been around for a long time. We used to use something called Project Workbench that worked well. But the idea here is the project management tools let you lay out all the required tasks, who you have assigned to them, what the deliverable of that task is going to be, and your scheduled start, stop dates, how much effort is going to be required, and the effort would be presented all the way down to how many hours of work will it require. So the project management tools allow you to set that all up, as well as which tasks require other tasks to be completed first versus which tasks can be performed at any time at all. So these allow us to create these charts called, one is called a Pert Chart. So this identifies all the tasks. You'll see these more in defense contractors, governmental projects, things like that. So Pert Charts are generally more for technical, scientific type projects. It lays out the task sequencing and task dependence, and also notes something called the critical path. So the critical path is important in a project because that identifies the specific sequence of tasks that need to be performed as efficiently as possible to keep the project on track. If any of these tasks gets delayed, well, then the whole project gets delayed. So that critical path is an important thing to keep an eye on as the project progresses. So here's an example of a Pert chart, and you can see it just lays out the tasks in order. You can see some branching based on different parallel tasks that can be performed simultaneously. This might remind you a little bit of an activity diagram, and then there are a lot of similarities there. What I would see more often would be something like this, or even like this. This is more like what I would see in most organizations when they laid out a Pert chart. And as a matter of fact, when I took operations management in my master's program, this is how we laid out Pert charts by hand. So you would put your tasks there, have how much effort is required for that task. You can see the preliminary design is supposed to take 9 days, and then you have a start date and an end date. So you see, in that case, January 1st, January 11th, well, that's 10 days, even though it takes 9 days of effort. So again, the effort could be spread out over multiple days. And here's where you get into resource constraints. Something may take me 1 day's 8 hours worth of effort, but if I'm working on 3 things at a time, I can only provide 2 hours of effort to that one thing per day. So it may take me 4 days to actually complete it. So the actual effort required versus the target dates comes into play there. And that also brings into play how many resources you might need to put on the project. So this is a Pert chart. Now another type of chart is called a Gantt chart. We often call that a waterfall chart. And this graphically represents the project just with plain bars. And the bars represent how long each task takes over a timeline. So the Gantt chart there, you can see we've got different tasks that are performed by different people. And you can see we've got contingencies sitting on each task. So some tasks can't be performed until a previous task is fully complete. Sometimes they can be started once the previous task is 50% complete, or it may be independent of any previous task. So here we've got them laid out in sequence, and you'll see these things get pretty big. We often would keep our project plans for the larger projects in a printed version once we had run them through the software and kicked out the reports. That would often take up 3-inch 3-ring binders. So the thickest 3-ring binders you can imagine, all full with project plans and detailed steps and which person was assigned to each task for projects that we would have 100 people on. So you can see here the Gantt chart's on the top, the Pert chart is on the bottom. They both follow a sequence, but a Gantt chart is on a strict timeline, so the length of each bar tells you how long a task will take. A Pert chart, even though it goes in sequence, doesn't necessarily follow a specific timeline. So with the combination of being able to lay out your tasks, your dependencies, your individuals working on them, how much time they have available, you can set up, and all project planning software allows you to kick out a Gantt chart or a Pert chart automatically once you've got the project set up. You don't have to create these from scratch, but you will want to use them to help fine-tune your project plan, and you'll identify mistakes certainly when you first lay out your project. Well, we've got Jimmy scheduled for 36 hours on that one day. I don't think that's going to work so well. And then you have to adjust.